Welcome to the Hollywood Outsider Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Peterson. I'm not Scott Clark. To my right is actually Scott Clark.
How's it going? I promise I won't talk about video games this time.
And you already fucking broke that promise. Also with us is Justin McCumber.
Audio.
And Brian Williams.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Good.
That's
fantastic.
very riveting. That's way.
We actually didn't hit 100 degrees today. It is awesome.
You are in Fort Worth, Texas, correct?
Fuck. I feel like I'm living in hell.
Is it really 100 degrees?
It's for about the past month and a half. It's been consecutive 100 plus degree days. No rain, no relief. Today we actually got up, I think it was 96, 97. It's it's bad when that feels, woo, I'm going to have to break out some, a coat.
Let's be honest, though. How much do you go outside?
As little as possible.
Okay. Then it's okay. It just looks really balmy.
Right.
But it's okay. What's everybody been doing this week? Anybody see a movie? Anyone?
I've been sicker than a dog, so I've been watching a lot of DVDs at home.
Nice. Justin?
My brother got me a copy. I don't know how he got it or why or where, but a copy of that Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh, the Alan Tudyk
thing?
Yep.
It's funny.
You gotta check that
It's
out.
much funnier than I thought it would be, and it has a sweeter heart to it than I thought it would have. I really enjoyed it.
That's cute. Brian, what about you? Anything?
Yeah, I checked out Smurfs.
Get the fuck out of here.
I know it was.
I knew that. That's why that was my genius thing.
Yeah, it was.
You're such a Sally.
Yeah, exactly. The wife's been pretty good here this summer. She's been putting up with a lot of my, comic book movies, sci-fi stuff, what have you. And so I, in the interest of keeping a happy household, I said, you know what? It's your call. And,
you are in the South. Is your wife like 16 by chance or 14?
Well, she just got her learner's permit yesterday.
First cousin, let's do all the jokes.
So,
let's hit them all at the same time.
My daddy, who's also my favorite uncle, said, never marry a virgin. Because if she ain't good enough for her family, she ain't good enough for you. So
what'd you think of the movie?
It was surprisingly good.
What?
I went in with low expectations. I would give it, out of, say, a $10 movie ticket.
The host scale?
Probably 6, maybe a 7.
$6? Okay.
That's better than I was expecting.
That's much better than I was expecting, because I was expecting zero.
There's some, like most of these cartoons, type movies, they do throw a little bit of adult humor in it. So that was, so it was pretty good. I went in with low expectations and was pleasantly surprised.
How do you throw adult humor
that's how your wife
into
probably
Smurfs?
usually goes in everything with you.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you say, Scott? I'm sorry. That was a cheap joke.
I said, how do you put adult humor in Smurfs?
Well, it's just, it's innuendo.
There's 6,500 guy Smurfs and one chick Smurf.
Oh, okay. Good.
Done.
Well, you
don't have to do anything.
That was one of the good things that surprised me. They addressed every issue similar to that within about the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Did you watch it in 3D?
Is Gargamel in the movie?
Yep.
Yeah, it's Hank Azaria.
Now, just explain this real quick. So, how does it work? Because the Smurfs took place on wherever the Smurfville or whatever the fuck, and they had Gargamel in the cartoon. So, what happens in the movie? It's live action with CGI. They
stumble across a portal running away from Gargamel, and they pretty much, it's like be captured by Gargamel or.
So it's an original story, is what you mean?
Oh yeah, it's original.
So
anyway, they go through the portal. Gargamel follows them, and
they end up in
and antics ensue after that.
Resisting.
Would you recommend it for families?
Yes.
Yeah. So, it's actually not a bad date movie.
Yeah, it is. It's a good date movie. If you've got kids, obviously it is geared towards the kids too. But those of you that do go begrudgingly, it's not so bad.
My niece saw it. She's 12. She just turned 12, as a matter of fact. And this is a sign of the times. She said, I really liked it, but it's too bad Neil Patrick Harris is gay, because he is so cute.
Wait, he's in the movie, not just voicing it?
Yeah, he's in
there. No, he's one of the humans in the show. When I was 12, I don't even know if gay was a word or a concept I even knew of, and she's well-versed in it. Different times, man.
All right, well, cool. We'll have to check out Smurfs. Probably. Well, I'll probably check it out never. But Scott, he's gonna have kids with somebody someday, so he'll probably want to check it out.
Somebody.
Some unlucky female.
Some very unlucky female. So,
Fuck you
but
guys.
those kids will have so many more toys than everybody else. It's awesome. Basically, a rundown of the format on how we do things. If you've never listened before, is we're going to talk a little bit about new releases, what's been out, what's out this weekend, and then we're going to talk about what's coming up next weekend. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about news. We're going to come back with a little section from Brian called "Does This Make Me a Sally for Liking It?" Brian will explain that when we get there. And then we're going to have a weekly topic. What the weekly topic generally is going to be week to week. It's going to be something that we want to talk about in film or TV or maybe our experience at the cinema. This week it's going to be about remakes. We're going to talk about remakes and how much they either suck or how awesome they are, and we hope they make more of them. In fact, I hope they remake shit that came out this year, next year. That would be awesome. We're going to talk about DVD and Blu-ray because this is a strictly movie week. We'll be getting into TV a little bit more once TV season starts. But we're going to talk about the new DVD releases, and we each are going to have a flashback DVD. And I didn't talk about this early in the show last time, so nobody knew it was coming. But if you stick around to the end, you're going to hear a recommendation from each one of us that is probably something you have not heard of, seen, or really ever thought of because somebody else told you it was stupid. Hopefully an obscure title that you didn't think about watching that maybe it'll give you an idea to check out this weekend when there's nothing else on television. Okay, and with that, let's talk about new releases. Planet of the Apes surprised everybody that watches box office numbers and was the number one movie of the weekend.
I couldn't believe that when I read that. I was surprised.
$54 million for this thing.
Shocker.
Who saw that coming?
How is that a shocker? I mean, for one, they've been hyping it like crazy lately, but I don't know. It's got monkeys.
Every person I'd heard who talked about it, everybody I heard talk about it could not have sounded less enthused with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, the critics were great, but nobody really wanted to see another one because if you saw the Marky Mark one, it was horrible. It was just horrible.
It was.
And the ending was even more horrible than the movie was. So that's saying
yeah,
something.
but you don't have to be, a rocket scientist to figure out that you've got CGI versus people in makeup.
And it's funny how Marky Mark is the one who seems to have that movie hung around his neck and not Tim Burton.
Well, to be honest, Tim Burton's rebounded pretty well. Marky Mark's just not bringing it yet.
That's true.
But don't worry, he's a fighter. He'll come out on top.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you like that?
As long as it's not an Uncharted movie. Oh.
Wow. Anyway.
So I just want to go on record and say that was a video game reference I didn't make.
Anyway, we're moving on. Rise of the Planet of the Apes was the number one movie. The Change Up, which everybody thought was gonna be the biggest movie of the weekend, was a total flop. It made $13 million, which is nothing compared to.
Or Ryan Reynolds.
And
man.
Ryan Reynolds is having a really crappy summer.
Yeah.
He's fired his agent, I'm sure, at least 3 times. That was the Jason Bateman Ryan Reynolds movie where they switch places and one's a pimp and the other one's married, which means the pimp has more fun. I don't care what anybody says. Trust me, the pimp has more fun. They switch places and hilarity ensues. Apparently, it didn't ensue because nobody went and saw it and critics didn't like it. So I'm sorry, Ryan Reynolds. I guess two girls, a guy, and a pizza place is coming.
I think that was probably just a victim of poor timing. I think if that had come out maybe in the spring or fall, that probably would have done a little bit better. But when you're going up against, it's kind of like the point I made a couple of podcasts ago. During the summer, when you release something, it's got to have big stuff, special effects, explosions, whatever.
I don't know, because look at like
Bridesmaids, Hangover.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about that. The rated R movies. I think, honestly, my personal opinion is that it came at the end of that curve. Like we've had rated R comedies all summer that have hit, and I think people are just burned out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's personal. That's my personal opinion. I see what you're saying too, Brian. It's a good argument. What do you think, Justin?
Don't patronize me, you son of a
Dude,
bitch.
you know what? I'm trying to be nice, Dick. So if you don't want to fucking hear it, I don't know what to tell you.
I think
to be a
it's
host.
Jason Bateman. I love Jason Bateman, but I don't think he is a box office draw. And I think Ryan Reynolds is still feeling the burn from Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
I think both of those things combined have really kind of spoiled people a little bit on seeing it. I want to see it, but like I've said before with comedies, I wait till they come out on DVD or video on demand. I don't go to theaters to see them, but I do want to see this one because I like both of those guys. but I could see why people might have avoided it in theaters.
Yeah, Jason Bateman's more of an ensemble
Yes, he
cast
is.
type of guy, not somebody to actually carry a movie. But I'm a big fan of his, and really both of them. And I'm the same way. I'll wait till video or or pay-per-view or something to check it out.
Well, apparently everybody else agrees with you, so you win.
Yeah.
Coming up, which will be out by the time you listen to this, is 30 Seconds or Less, which is coming out. We've talked about it before. Scott and I saw it. Very good movie.
You want to bring up what we talked about this week about that movie?
What?
Remember the news article that was out today on CNN?
Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
Well, this is kind of interesting to me because I don't know if you guys knew this, but the story with 30 Minutes or Less was actually kind of happened.
And sadly ending.
Yeah, like and they talked when we went and saw the premiere. Somebody brought that up in the Q&A, and it was really awkward.
It was so awkward.
It was really awkward.
Hey, so when you're making this movie, that guy that died, how was that?
Yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
Apparently, his family's quite upset.
Well, I mean, and the thing that I didn't know until I read the story about it, and the reason I actually read the story was because I found out that the bank that this actually took place in real life when this happened is the same bank that I work for. That's why it was like big news around my work. So it was kind of interesting. But I started reading the story a little bit, and what I found out was that this guy was actually a pizza delivery guy, and I mean, just the stuff that led up to it, they're the exact same details from the movie. And I'm like, how did they turn that into a comedy?
I don't know, but it was funny.
Oh, it was funny, but like it's funnier that I didn't know. You know, I mean,
well,
not that I didn't know.
It made it sad.
Yeah, like.
And you're kind of bringing the podcast down talking about it. I'm not gonna lie.
That's coming from you, Mr. Negativity.
We're just starting to get a rhythm, and there you go, start making people cry. They're in their car. They probably killed somebody because they were crying already. Good job, nice job, Scott. You killed somebody.
Yesterday on Dan Patrick's, he's got a sports show, and he had Jesse Eisenberg on there. He actually, brought that up, and Jesse Eisenberg is kind of a real fast-talking, stuttery type of guy anyway, and he really kind of fumbled through it. He played the diplomatic card, like, well, we changed some stuff up, and we got a real good story and everything, but it was, you could see he was really uncomfortable talking about the real aspect of it, and so I didn't know anything about it until then, so I appreciate you kind of filling me in on that.
Oh, okay.
Well, and when we saw the Q&A, Jesse Eisenberg, he had said, he was maybe it was a more relaxed setting, so it was pretty easier. It was a lot easier for him to answer. Wow, that just sounded like a big cluster of words right there. He seemed a lot more comfortable answering the question. What he said was, I didn't even know about it until I was already signed up and started doing the movie. I didn't realize it was a real life situation, so, what do you want me to do? And he handled it. I mean, he handled the best. What are you going to do? It's still funny. I don't care what the situation is. The whole situation's kind of dreary and sad, and thanks for making the podcast cry, but it's still a good comedy, and I believe you take those kind of things out of those concepts.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna go see something, even if it's based on a true story or inspired by actual events, I base it on what the movie is. I don't really care unless you're going for an Oscar. I'm not gonna judge everything you do based on that one thing.
No, and I didn't go into it. I knew going into it that it was based on some real life events or the similar events that happened. But when I read the story and found out how many of the details were actually
in the movie.
Yeah, like that just seemed very odd to me.
I don't recall reading the article where Danny McBride's cock like 14 times. I don't recall that.
Whatever, Slumdog.
That's funny. Another one that's coming out, which actually, if it looks like a very good movie, if you have a woman in your life that you could do worse to suffer through it. It's called The Help. It's actually getting very good reviews. It's got Emma Stone in it, who I love. Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, I hope I said her name right. Her parents didn't love her very much. As the three different women who build a friendship over a secret writing project that breaks down racial barriers and puts them all at risk because it's the old days. You know what I'm saying? It's the old days, and you can't be hanging out with the blacks, so to speak.
I don't think you could pay me to see this movie.
Really?
I had no interest whatsoever.
Justin?
Yeah, I do want to see it.
Brian? You've already lived this movie, so what?
Do I want to see it? No, but I probably will at some point. I know my wife wants to see it, so that probably means I want to go see it. So yeah, it looks good. It's not something that I'm going to rush to the theaters to go see, but I will check it out at least on cable. If not, DVD or something.
Okay. That's fair enough. I actually, even though I make a lot of jokes about, chick flicks and stuff, I will actually watch them, and some of them are pretty good. This one looks like it might be interesting. Plus, it's got Emma Stone, so I can go and...
You can just say you want to see it because Emma Stone's in it. It's
I
really
do want to
okay.
see it because Emma Stone's in it. I do. Another one coming out, which is... This will probably be the #1 movie of the weekend, is Final Destination 5.
Why?
And I'm talking about this weekend. Like, by the time you listen to this, these movies are already out.
Right.
And we'll talk about what's coming up next weekend in a minute. But Final Destination 5, it's a suspension bridge almost claims people's lives. Now they got to beat death again. I just kind of want death to win, really, honestly. Like in the first 5 minutes. It's in 3D too, so that'll be really exciting. You'll see a bridge collapse in 3 dimensions.
In your face.
Exactly. Maybe the wires will come flapping at your head. And also, here's what Scott and Justin are really excited about. Is Glee 3D. Glee Live in 3D. That's getting really good reviews. I don't know why, but apparently they're very happy.
Because it's Glee, bitch.
Don't knock it till you tried it, man. It's
I
really
have tried it, and it's okay.
Hate is gonna hate.
It's okay. I just don't think it's like I don't understand the phenomenon.
Dude, watch the Britney Spears episode. You'll get wood.
But it's going to be in 3D, so you'll have penises flying at your head. That's pretty cool. Just briefly, the box office, Rise of the Planet of the Apes was #1, $54 million. Smurfs actually continues to be a big hit, and they brought in $20 million somehow, mostly from Brian and his wife, I think.
But beating Cowboys and Aliens, that just...
Cowboys and Aliens dropped severely.
Wow.
They dropped like 56%. So he made $67 million. It cost $160 million just to make it. It's not going to make its money back. So there's not going to be a Cowboys and Aliens and whatever else you put.
Pirates and Ninjas.
And Pirates and Ninjas. Harry Potter's doing well. It's going to end up being the #1 movie of the year so far. That's pretty cool. And that's it. So coming up, here are the upcoming releases coming up for the next weekend. The weekend that'll actually appeal to anybody that's actually listening to us. Conan, the fucking Barbarian.
No.
Fucking yes. I will bring back a report.
Jason Momoa is going to take over for Arnie. Momoa, however you say his name.
Momoa.
There's lots of grunting and sweating in this movie.
Yeah, he's in that Game of Thrones series.
Oh.
It's called Drogo. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that they remade another 80s movie. That's cool. I'm waiting for Ferris Bueller to come back.
Fuck you.
So, you're looking forward to this? Sincerely?
Oh, yes. Have you seen some of the shit that's on this thing?
On Conan? I've seen the trailer. It looks okay. It looks all
Looks bloody. Looks violent. Everything a Conan the Barbarian movie should be. You don't go to Conan to see
Fabio with
Ivory,
his shirt off.
high acting. You go to see shit getting beat up, blood getting let, and hopefully some titties. That's what you go to a Conan movie.
God
for.
bless you and your honesty. I admire that.
You don't go for a Merchant Ivory flick.
The other one coming out is Fright Night, which is that's another 80s remake because apparently this is 80s weekend.
Now the original is actually on Comcast Instant Play right now.
Fright Night is?
Yeah, the original.
I didn't know that.
I just happened to come across. I didn't watch it yet, but I was going to ask you.
You haven't seen it yet, right?
Should I watch it?
It's one of my favorite horror. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
Oh my god! I guess I'm going to have to watch that.
Wow.
It's on demand, not Instant Play.
They're just certain films that I just assume people have watched because they're. I don't know if I would say they're touchstone films, but they're just such widely known films. It's like if somebody comes to me and says, "Yeah, I've never seen Back to the Future," I want to smack them right across the face.
Is this one of those though? Like really? Just I've never even heard of Fright Night.
Well, because it wasn't like a monster hit.
Mm-hmm.
But
for my generation, especially, I expect them to have seen this movie.
So
if you say you like horror movies and you are older than 25, I think you should have seen it.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I think.
And the new trailers are showing much more of the Vincent character looking really cool. So I'm getting more and more interested.
Yes, I mean when you watch it, you got to remember that it's dated though. I mean it's 1985 and it looks like 1985.
Well, that's part of the charm, isn't it? I mean,
for me, but it's always different when you've never seen it versus growing up with it.
Well,
I can watch it and I'd be like, I still love it. It's kick ass. You may watch it and be like, really? They use that effect?
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. Trying to sell somebody on watching Princess Bride now is a little harder to do.
It is. Bring me the head of it. What else is coming? One Day is coming out, and it's coming out on that one particular day that it comes out. It's Anne Hathaway with clothes on, which already killed it for me. Basically, these two morons only see each other one day a year for like 25 years, and it looks sappy and not in a good way. And they show each day for this whole 25-year period and how they've changed. And apparently, their spouses are cool with this just one day action. I don't know how this works, but that's what the movie is.
Wait a minute. One day. They
every year on, I think it's July 15th, if I read it right.
They do it?
No, they just, I don't know, they might do it, but they run across each other, and apparently that's the only day they can get together, because they're very fucking busy. They have shit going on. She's in Batman, and he's, whatever, I don't know who he is, Jim Sturgis, I don't know, he was in the Beatles movie.
Across the Universe.
Yeah, the Beatles movie, that's what I just said. If you were listening to the podcast that you're on, you would know that.
I was helping, sorry.
You didn't really help me. You didn't help me. Do any of you guys want to see this? Because Scott really does.
No.
Now, have you seen Love and Other Drugs?
Yes.
Yeah, she's naked a lot.
She is naked throughout half that movie. If that's what you're going for, just rent Love and Other Drugs. I think you're covered.
Mm-hmm.
Well, plus I just save people money because I said it's Anne Hathaway with clothes on.
Exactly.
Really,
you
and
did a service.
They should put that in the description somewhere.
Havoc. That's another movie.
Yeah, but that's a really brief one. If you really want to see her, I mean, not to be total misogyny or anything.
She was naked in Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah,
one scene.
I like how that's the one you mentioned. we mentioned all the other ones. You mentioned Brokeback Mountain. I think that says all you need to know about Scott Clark.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Spy Kids all the time in the world. They weren't brave enough to call it Spy Kids 4. Robert Rodriguez desperately trying to keep his series alive by employing more Hispanic aliens. That's basically what it is. And it's in, like smell-o-vision.
It's in 4D.
4D. I don't know what that means.
Smell-o-vision.
Well, because the whole from what I saw in the trailer, the whole conceit is it involves time manipulation. So time being the fourth dimension, saying it's in 4D is, I guess, accurate.
It's not false advertising or stupid.
Well, that too.
Do you guys think like anybody's going to take their kids to see that though? Like sincerely?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of parents who want to get those kids entertained for a little while, and Spy Kid movies have always done well because Rodriguez is very smart in how he spends his money and how he makes his movies. This will make money, and whether it's good or not is not for me to say, but I definitely think it'll do the business it needs to do.
Fair enough. Spoken from the king. We're going to go into news now. That's what's coming out next weekend. So if you want to see any of those, I'm sorry, we didn't do pick of the week. Pick of the week. I didn't do pick of the week. Scott,
mine's
what is your pick of the week?
Fright Night. Even though I haven't seen the original, I'm more stoked to see that than any of them. Colin Farrell looks pretty cool in that movie. So
okay, and that's out of the four we mentioned. Which one do we want to see the most? Scott's is Fright Night. Justin, what's yours?
Duh, Conan.
Duh, Conan.
Duh.
What are you going to do if he doesn't sound like Arnold at all?
Oh, he doesn't sound like Arnold at all, but I mean that's okay. I mean, he's Hyborian. The Hyborians, it's a completely fictional world. He doesn't have to have.
What's a Nubian?
What's a
he's Black Rage.
He's a Hyborian princess. What is a Hyborian? I don't know what that is.
It's a world that was created for this story. It's an ancient time in Earth's history. It's a completely fictionalized history of Earth, and it's just that's the fake country he comes from. I mean, he's a Sumerian, but it's the world of Hyboria. He can sound like whatever the actor wants him to sound like.
Okay, Brian, what's your pick of the week?
Yeah, I'm going with Conan.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to pick one day, and I don't want to see Spy Kids. So.
Okay. Well,
I like Fright Night and I like Conan, but I'll go with Conan.
Shirtless guys do it for you. Push you over the edge, huh?
Absolutely.
This from the guy who just said Colin Farrell looks cool in it.
No, I didn't say with his shirt off. I just said he looks badass.
You brought up Brokeback Mountain.
You did.
You have no clout with me.
He pretty much trumps everything you say from this point forward. What's your first reference? Brokeback Mountain? Oh, you mean not the movie where she's naked through the whole fucking thing? It's the one where the gays have sex. Okay. Mine is Fright Night, which obviously anybody knows that, so that's not really a big
split
surprise.
Decision.
Yeah, it is a split decision. So how do we decipher that?
Let's go ask your hot wife.
No, we're not going to ask her. She's going to pick whatever I say. God damn it!
Yeah. So
that's not true. She'll pick Conan. I already know the answer to this. She'll pick Conan. That's the one she's dying to see is Conan.
She knows what's good in life.
Because she likes the shirtless Iberian guy.
She has no idea who Conan is, but she's seen the commercial. And
She
like,
mean
I
the
want
red-haired
something
guy on
like
TBS?
That's the thing. She actually knows exactly who Conan is, man. That's true.
It's true.
Okay, we're going to go in the news now that we've done our pick of the weeks. And I guess if we're doing the split decision, Conan wins. So we'll see what happens at the box office. I guess.
All right.
New trailers. So everybody see the ones that I sent you?
I did.
Mm-hmm. Did indeed.
Okay. Paranormal Activity 3. Looks like
Fucking
a prequel.
there.
I'm sold. Seriously.
Yes.
It looks like a prequel with like an 80s camcorder.
It's supposed to. That's the whole
It's-
point.
How do you make a
Mhm.
movie out of that? I got the security camera and I got the using the current digital camera to capture everything. But how are they going to capture enough with an 80s camcorder that they filmed enough to see what's going on through a whole movie?
I thought I
I-
didn't know how they're going to do it with the second one, and they pulled it off in the second one. So I'm making to see what they're going to do.
Well, and the second one's technically mostly a prequel too.
Yeah.
This is just going prequel.
This one's like when they're
Yeah.
little kids.
Yeah, but the whole story of the first two films is about what happened to these
Mhm.
these women when they were younger. Well, now we're going to get to see some of that. I think it sounds really interesting. I didn't know how they were going to do the third film because I thought they were going to continue it forward.
Right.
And with the way the second one ended, it's like, how the fuck do you do a captured camera footage movie with that? But doing this, where you're actually getting the VHS tapes or whatever from these cameras, that actually makes sense because there were a lot of families back then that had these cameras and filmed fucking everything.
Mhm.
So to me,
Like everything.
it's no more stretching the bounds of believability than the first or the second one.
I agree.
Brian, you were going to say something.
Yeah, just the scene where the two girls are doing the what you call it, the Bloody Mary.
Oh, yeah, in the mirror.
Don't say it
Yeah.
again.
That's that thing alone sold me.
Yep.
I'm all in.
All right.
You're,
they
you're not
scared
looking
the
forward to
shit
this?
out
I saw that. I thought that was the weakest scene in the whole trailer. I mean,
Really?
I thought it just looked contrived.
Well, I mean, you throw in the little girl thing too, and because little girl in horror movies are genuinely creepy, and
Right.
you know,
I think little girls in general are creepy. That's why I haven't gone to jail like you did.
But
Sorry.
those first two movies scared the shit out of
oh
me.
yeah,
so
they made me uncomfortable as
primed.
hell. I'm going to see this in the theater because I saw the first one in the theater on
Yeah.
opening weekend, and that really makes these movies getting the attention from everybody in the crowd.
Okay, so 3-1 thinks the trailer looks pretty good. Check
Yep.
it out. Haywire, with it's a new Steven Soderbergh movie. It looks a lot like La Femme Nikita. Now
Another chick kicking ass movie. It looks
Yeah.
pretty good.
looks all right.
And I love Steven Soderbergh, so I am in.
I do too.
Definitely, it's about a woman just going and kicking ass. Is basically what it is.
But there's a lot of, like you put in here, there's a lot of actors in it, a lot of interesting.
yeah, there's
high-level
a
actors.
lot of actors in it, but it's somehow. Did you guys see when you watched the trailer that it kind of almost felt like a cheap trailer?
Mhm.
Like parts of it looked almost like a DVD trailer.
No, I didn't get
where
that.
I didn't see like a lot of polish or high production value. I guess maybe is what I'm trying to say.
Maybe
Yeah, but
maybe the
Soderbergh is
editing.
kind of artsy anyway.
Yeah,
so
yeah, he's
it's-
very
Could
independent.
just be the way
you're
he filmed it.
right. So
I like it. It looks good. I like Gina Carano. She's if you remember the horrible remake of American Gladiators, she was on there.
American Gladiators.
I don't remember which one she was, but I remember her being on there. She's also an MMA fighter. So.
Oh,
Well, at least then she's believable.
And she
Mhm.
she kicks some major ass. I saw her fight 2 fights about a year, maybe 2 years ago, and haven't seen her since. So apparently things are going good for her. So
she is very attractive. I'll give you that.
And she looks like she can kick some ass as
Yeah.
opposed to that Colombina, whatever
Oh,
that movie was.
Colombiana with Zoe
I mean, I like her as an actress, but she is so thin.
Yeah.
I don't believe her as a powerhouse fighter. This chick, she looks like she could kick the shit out of you.
now that movie Colombiana or Colombiana?
probably
whatever.
Colombiana.
Is
Unless
that-
you're from Georgia, then it's Colombiana.
We,
Call me crazy, but is that a spin-off
Crazy.
of Kill Bill?
no,
No.
it's not at all. Not in any
Okay.
way, shape, or form.
You know where I'm going with that though? As
I
far
know that
as-
you're reaching is what you're doing.
Okay. I don't want to.
You
Just
don't.
another badass chick.
Yeah, it's just another badass chick movie. It's not. It's not like the continuation.
She kind of looked like Vivica Fox. I'm not gonna lie, like a young Vivica
No,
Fox.
That's how you're just saying all black people look alike?
That's what he just said. Yes,
That is
he
what
did.
he just said.
That is what he just said. Write it down. Write
It
some
used to be-
letters.
it used to
Save
be they all
that
look like
drop.
Tyson, but now they all look like Zoe Saldana.
Exactly. Have fun with your Nubians. Hmm? The next one is Dream House. Anybody see the trailer for Dream House?
Yeah, it was.
I thought they gave
Interesting.
everything away in the trailer. It seems like
They did. Yes,
Yeah.
Aaron, I completely agree. I got way too much information.
Yep.
Yes, I was sold the first 30 seconds of it. I'm like, oh, this will be interesting. And then it turns into, I don't want to give it away for anybody that doesn't want to.
Yeah,
spoiler.
the reveal was like...
But if you watch the trailer, I think there's a very good chance you're going to be spoiled on this movie.
Yeah.
And it looks like an interesting movie. It actually does.
Well, it looks like Logan's Run. That's what I thought.
I was thinking of Amityville Horror a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like a...
Now, Brian, you're actually thinking of Time In.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Dreamhouse is like the mystery ghost story where Daniel Craig...
yeah.
He moves into the
That's
house
right.
with his
That's
family,
right.
wife and 2 kids.
Yeah, that's right.
And but to say anything more, I would think would give it away. Even if there is a lot more after that, it gives a shitload away.
Yeah,
a lot.
So if you have any interest in this movie at all, just don't watch the trailer.
Yeah,
Because
it's Daniel Craig and Rachel Weisz, and it looks like a haunted house story.
Yeah, just stay
it
away.
looks really interesting.
That said, though, I am liking Daniel Craig more and more each movie I see him in.
Yeah, even though I still think he's ugly as shit. I don't think he's an attractive man.
Yeah.
He's the ugliest James Bond that ever lived.
But he's a good Bond, though. I like him
Uglier
as
than
Bond.
Timothy Dalton?
Yes. Daniel
Oh,
Craig
really?
in direct sunlight is not a good looking man. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
he does kind of like
Yeah,
beating
dude,
hamburger
I've
a
seen
little
that poster of him coming out of the ocean in a little skimpy bathing suit that's on your
You
wall.
have it above your bed, don't you?
We don't like to talk about that.
You don't like to talk about it, but I love talking about it.
The next
Brian
one,
embraces his metrosexuality.
the next one, which I'm telling you, I am so looking forward to. That's not true at all.
Oh, I am. This is my pick.
In Time
Yeah,
with
this is the
Justin
one I confused.
fucking
I'm sorry.
Timberlake as an action hero.
Dude, this is my favorite of the ones here. I'm stoked about this movie.
I like the concept. It's people basically have to work to buy themselves more time.
Right.
Is that basically how it works?
Mhm.
And something happens and he's on the run or something. But just watching him try to be an action hero made my head hurt.
I'm excited to see him in something
Well,
like
you love Justin
I
Timberlake.
do. He's like one of the most versatile.
Whenever you leave, you're like, bye, bye, bye. You just...
Justin,
I mean, I agree with you, Scott. I love Justin Timberlake. He's got mad respect for me.
seriously, he's like one of the most versatile entertainers out
He
there.
is
He's funny. He can act.
the
He can
best-
sing. He can dance.
He's
Everything.
got his dick in a box.
He's the best host on Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
I agree
hands
with
That's why
down.
they bring him back like at least once every season.
Because I don't watch Saturday Night Live, but when he's
Yes,
on, I will go watch.
I'm not saying he's not a great entertainer, and I think he's very funny. Some of the stuff I thought he was great in Social Network.
I have-
like phenomenal.
Mhm.
Very little at this time. I've got very little interest in that movie. It looks like Logan's Run, and it's almost like they kind of show you too much in that preview. Also,
Yeah, I could see that too. It's just him doing action shit and everything. I'm sure the choreography will be awesome because he can dance.
Dude, we
with
would have
like
said the
nobody's
same thing when
business.
we saw him in a drama 5-6 years ago. So, Justin Timberlake in a drama, and we all rolled our eyes, and he pulled it off. I don't see
Yep.
why this is going to be a big stretch.
Justin Timberlake action hero just makes me laugh. It doesn't roll off the tongue like Daniel Craig.
It's not like he's
James
pulling a
Bond.
Rambo or some shit. He's running around running from whatever. It's not like
Well, he could at
Yeah.
least do it stylishly like he would normally, like on a stage, and just do like some moonwalking or something.
I don't think Jason Statham is feeling any heat yet that Timberlake's coming up on his ass to
I don't think
overtake
so.
him as an action star. But he's a good actor. He's his physicality I think will enable him to pull off
Yeah.
whatever the action requires. And I do. The story seems really, really smart and interesting. I'm as a sci-fi guy and a writer, I'm more interested how they're going to handle certain questions I have regarding the logistics of the story. But it looks fun.
Mhm.
I look forward to seeing it.
I'm 100% with Justin on that. I'm stoked about this movie.
All right. Okay, who saw The Darkest Hour? You saw it, Scott. This is the one that you really liked, right?
Looks cool.
I think it looks fun. I'm not as stoked about this as I am in Time, but this is my kind of movie as well.
It's like it looks
Yeah,
like
clever
28
concept.
hours later with an alien invasion. That's what it looks like.
it looks nothing
doesn't sound like
that.
a bad thing to me.
Well, and
I-
with the whole abandoned red square does have that abandoned London kind of feel. So I can see what Aaron's saying.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Legend?
What about Legend? They look like 28 laters with a black guy.
Well, do you mean I Am Legend?
I
Or
Am
are you talking
Legend.
about the Ridley
Yeah.
Scott fantasy movie? Okay.
Ooh, he just bitched you
Oh.
out, dude.
He did. He did. My
Good
bad.
job.
McCumbered.
I was referring to the
It's an
Will
adjective.
Smith.
Right.
But yeah, it looks good. It looks like it's made by that Timur Bekmambetov guy. So
Your Russian man crush.
my
Yeah.
Russian man crush.
Yes,
Exactly.
you like him a lot, right?
Yeah, he's one of my top 3 current directors right now.
And you still can't pronounce his name.
I
But
s- well, you look at it and you pronounce it.
you want to see this movie because it's an alien invasion and they're fighting electricity. How
Okay,
fucking exciting is that going to be?
story
My
wise-
hair's standing up.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks, the story wise, I'm not sure about it. It looks odd, which kind of makes me want to see it a little bit more because it looks somewhat original. The special effects look good, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's and like I said, with that director, I just love seeing anything that he does. His visuals in his movies are phenomenal, and I'll go see it just for that alone.
I'm not familiar. What are some of those other movies that you're so hard on for?
He broke out, or his biggest one that he broke out with was Night Watch, and he had a follow up with Day Watch. It's
a sequel,
kind
but
of
it happens in the day.
It's Vampires meets the Matrix kind of a thing.
kind of a thing. Yeah. It's
Okay.
there's a lot. If you watch that, have you seen Wanted with
I haven't, but I'm familiar.
Okay, there's a number of scenes in that movie that are taken directly from these other two, and it's one of those kind of like The Matrix where you see it for the first time and you're like, wow.
Just
it
visually
kinda hits you.
arresting.
Yeah. So, and it's a little hard to stay with because you're having to read subtitles, and the dubbing is worse than a Godzilla movie. So
He is visually interesting. He's a visually interesting director. That's true.
But with this new movie, it's got Emil Hirsch, who I like. He was great in Into the Wild. I really liked him in The Girl Next Door. And I know I'm one of the few people in the world who loved Speed Racer. I thought he was great in that. But I think what got me in this trailer that I really like is not just that the aliens arrive and they consume all of the electrical power in the world, and you think, oh, that's why they're here. They're just here for energon cubes. But it starts to give you this hint that they also do it because electricity gives their presence away, and one of their methods of invasion is through, some kind of a invisibility. And when they figure out that light bulbs light up because of the EM field these aliens put out, I find that interesting, especially when they scattered all those tiny little light bulbs across the floor to see if one was around, and all of a sudden they start lighting up. That's cool shit to me.
Yeah, to me, all I kept thinking of was, well, how many fucking bulbs are they going to carry around with them to let people know when the alien's there?
But you just gotta go pick each one up again when you move on.
It seems like so much work. Just kill me. Fuck up my hair and kill me. All right. The next thing is the Clue movie. The Clue movie is dead, which now I'm not talking about a remake of the 80s movie. It's actually a new property.
Oh.
But they're the same ideas. Gore Verbinski, who did the Pirates of the Caribbean original trilogy, and he's done Rango and a couple other things. He was gonna do a Clue movie, and they killed it. They said no Clue movie.
That's such a shame.
So what do you guys think about board game movies? I mean, we
But who
got
killed it?
Battleship
Was it
coming out.
Colonel Mustard in the
Oh, jeez.
observatory with the stick.
It was actually good
Well,
job.
that's funny. That's
you
funny.
win. That's funny.
That's not.
But,
okay.
I bet I'm the first person to make that joke.
I think you should be the last to make that joke. What do you guys think? Do you think board game movies are like something we should be doing? Because
No.
we got Battleship coming out, which we agreed last week looks stupid.
Terrible.
What do you think? Does anybody have a take on this? Because I don't understand when this trend
If I
started.
see a Shoots and Ladders movies,
That's
just,
one of the ones they were working on. No, I'm
But
kidding.
that would be for kids.
I'm kidding.
and-
Candyland. They're working on Candyland.
Now, if you did make like Candyland but turned it into like a horror movie, now that might be fun. But board movies.
I
in
like how
general,
Brian thinks. Twisted.
Yeah, like directed by Tim Burton or what?
Tim Burton or whatever. Just like I said, just some horror movie. Don't make it look like Alice in Wonderland, but
Yeah. We don't want Tim Burton there.
I
Because
think
Johnny
to me,
Depp
like
would be in
Rogue Trooper. That's an old. Well, no, that's more of a tabletop game. I'm sorry.
I just think
It's-
of all the board games, Clue's about the only one I can think of that really that could translate pretty easily.
This really does bum me out because
It does. I'm a huge fan of the 80s Clue.
Mhm.
If nobody's ever seen it, you should check it out. In fact, if you ever watched the show Psych, I'm a huge fan of it. They're doing a Clue episode this year.
Get out, really?
They're doing a Clue episode.
I gotta start watching that show.
Huge fan of that show. Okay, now here's some TV news because we're gonna do more TV stuff as we go, but it's been pretty slow. Desperate Housewives officially calling it an end. This is their last year. It's done. No more Eva Longoria running around half naked, chasing her fat kids. What do you guys?
I think it's time. I am an unabashed fan of the show.
I'm a fan
I've
of the
watched-
show's first 5 years. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. I truly
Well,
am.
surprisingly, this
you're
last
the first
season with
homosexual couple that I've met that actually watches it. So
Vanessa Williams was a really good addition this past season. And she's the first non-original person on Wisteria Lane that actually worked. And I liked her quite a bit. I also think she's, for her age, she's still really attractive. But I like the show, but I like that they're going to do one season knowing it's the end and just end it instead of yet another show that goes on for 9 years and then just limps out the door. Let them end strong.
Yeah.
As opposed to what they're going to be doing maybe with Breaking Bad.
I mean, kind of like they did with Lost.
Did you say?
Fuck you. We're not getting into that.
Yeah, we're not doing that here.
That's a whole show.
We'll do that in the TV one of these days. That'll be one of the topics. It could be its own topic, the Lost ending. Did you say that the Vanessa Williams is the only one that worked?
Of the non-originals.
Oh.
Because every year,
So
they try to bring
Are they
in...
tying that in with The Help? Or-
That's what I was kind of wondering. Like, oh, look, the black girl works.
I mean,
That's
I just see
kinda what I was
marketing potential. That's all. You know.
Hey, she's the richest one of them all, so she's the one who's getting the help, and it's probably some stringy little white girl.
Wow. Good. It's about time. It's about time we went up that. The other one, they are talking about house ending too, and that makes me kind of sad. Even though I think it's been on rails for the last 3-4 years. They really, I think they screwed the pooch with that show. That was such a great character, and they just started making all kinds of crazy ass choices.
I've never seen an episode.
Oh, really? It's
What?
actually really pretty good. I haven't watched a lot of it, but
Well,
It's one of
I
my
don't watch
favorite-
procedurals.
you don't watch
It's one of
what?
my favorite. Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows that I never watch.
well, do you know what I'm talking about, Brian? Though the last few seasons, how they've just been
Yeah.
taking really ridiculous choices
Yep.
with the character and making him ridiculous. I mean, making the whole concept of what House really was and just taking it too far. They're trying to build him as a character, but all they're doing is burying the character while they're doing it because they obviously had no idea how to make him grow.
Right.
And sometimes, I'm a firm believer. I don't understand why TV shows, just because a few shows have been very successful with taking a character, growing that character, and letting it develop. There are some shows, especially procedurals, Justin, that need to just be fucking procedurals. I mean, just
I
be
got no problem with
procedurals.
that. I don't think every
No,
show
no,
has to be made for me.
I agree with that. I'm saying that I don't understand why they think every show has to grow and develop. A lot of people just want to see that mystery of the week or that crime of the week or that medical mystery of the week, whatever it is.
What's he going to do this week?
Yeah, that's what they want to see, and they want to hear the quirks while they're going through it. They don't need, not everybody wants a character fully developed. They really don't. And especially a show like House, it was so simple. Sherlock Holmes is a doctor. That's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to go and
that's
make
what's
it.
good. That's a very good point because that's what I like about that show, The Mentalist. And it's the same thing. You have a murder. The team shows up. They look at it. They start talking to suspects. It looks like it's one guy, but all of a sudden it turns out to be the sister of the wife of the widow, whoever. And Patrick Jane, he makes some witty remarks to get somebody to admit doing something that they lied about earlier. So, and it's the same formula every episode. They have his character that has a little storyline, and they've kind of progressively up the notch on that a little bit as it's gone over the last couple of seasons, and that's fine, but it's not anything major. But it's the same formula every episode, and that's what makes it good. And sure, in a few years it's probably dead, but hey, it's good while it's on.
Yeah, I think you need that. I think that's nice to have just that a little dessert. You don't always have to have a full meal. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just nice to watch something, knock it out, be done with it.
I mean, I watch Castle. It's as close
Love
to procedural
Castle.
as I get, and I think the only reason I watch it is Nathan Fillion. He's a good actor, and the woman who acts on it, I find her easily watchable.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't normally watch procedurals, especially medical shows. For some reason, medical shows and lawyer shows are two that I find such a hard time getting into. Maybe it's because of the lingo. I don't know what, and I'm a wuss when it comes to medical stuff anyway, so that could also be part of it.
I just never.
I'm like seeing a zip popped, much less anything more than that.
That's an interesting analogy. All right, moving on. This is my favorite news of the week. Bruce Campbell has made it official on his Twitter account. He is going to be in Sam Raimi's Oz.
I didn't even know that Raimi was making an Oz movie. That
and
was
it's
news to me. It was awesome.
If I understand it right, it's Dorothy's granddaughter returns to Oz to fight evil. And Sam Raimi, who did the Spider-Man movies as well as the Evil Dead classic films, he's signed on to direct. And granted, this is a personal thing. Probably 95% of the 3 people that listen to this don't care, but I care. and it's a big deal to me. Anybody?
You met Bruce Campbell too.
I've met Bruce Campbell 3 times. Yep.
I met him once. He was a delight.
I met him once as well.
Do we know who he's going to be playing?
No, he does not even know.
He
yet.
doesn't even know.
He said it's a pivotal role, but that's what often Raimi says, and then he ends up being like a
He's
snooty
the
usher.
Tin Man.
He'd make a good Oz.
That would be interesting. Brian, you don't have any thoughts?
No, I have no thoughts.
I think you have to expect, even though he is a pivotal character, that's going to be somewhat of a cameo with like how he was in Spider-Man.
Yeah, but I'm sick of that. It's like, you know the guy since you're a kid. Fucking make him a real movie.
I know.
I think he actually, he's like the friend that makes fun of him at parties. That's what I think. Raimi makes fun of Bruce Campbell at parties.
That's the one question
He's
I
like,
wish I would have asked.
He ends up on Burn Notice. Haha.
I wish I would have asked that question when we went to that Q&A.
I wish you would have too.
Are you Raimi's bitch?
No, I wouldn't have asked it like that. But.
That's a good way to ask it. Why doesn't he ever give you a real job? Okay, we'll move on because apparently Brian doesn't care about this piece of news.
No, it's not that I don't care. I just, I don't
worship him like I do.
Yeah, exactly. Any of them. I mean, Raimi, I like.
But you're also the guy that hates Spider-Man too.
I thought he really messed up Spider-Man.
Really?
But I love his Evil Dead movies. He's either hot or cold with me. So I'm curious to see what he does with this Oz thing. So
isn't he supposed to do like the World of Warcraft movie or something too?
Yeah, he backed out of that.
Oh, did he?
He'll probably back out of this too. All right. You never know. But it's cool news, and I'm happy about it.
Well, they've already got like other cast lined up for this, don't they? Like Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, they're lining up everybody.
Yeah,
that'll be good. And they've shown the new Superman. That's Henry Cavill. I don't know how you say his name, but it's not Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
Good.
I think the bigger problem with this picture of this guy is the Superman suit. It looks like the Crisis tuned it up.
They do. Yeah, it looks like.
Sorry for the reference.
No, it's true. They're trying to make it like a cyber suit or something.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I don't like that. Part of the appeal of Superman was it was just tights and it was a musk. You know what I mean?
Maybe that was part of your appeal, but not mine.
In Superman Returns, they messed with the suit a little bit, especially in the S shield on the chest. It was, a harder material with the little S logo replicated all across it to give it kind of a textural feel. But they look like they've darkened the blue and the red a bit. Mm-hmm. And when I looked at it, it almost looked like scales. I mean, I know it's not, but that was the impression I got, that it almost looked like it had scales on the suit. I'm not sold on this guy.
Not either.
I'm just not. I need to see, not crouched, not in a shadow. I need to see standing up, hands on his, fists on his hips, in light before I'm going to sign off on.
I mean, it looks like he's got John Travolta hair, but other than that, I think it looks pretty cool.
I'm with Aaron. I think I prefer Brandon Routh.
I miss Brandon Routh.
Because even though I didn't like the movie so much, he freaking looks like Christopher Reeves.
I just thought he reminded me of Superman. I know that's where everybody goes with.
I thought he made a decent Clark Kent, but I didn't like him as Superman.
I liked his Superman better than his Clark Kent.
Ooh,
I thought it was good.
Decision.
It was so good.
Ooh, interesting.
I'm one of those again rare fans.
Let's find out. And I know Brian is probably the biggest comic book fan, so I'll give you the benefit. I will check it out when it comes out. How's that?
Deal.
A sequel news. This will be really happy for Brian and his family.
Shocking no one.
Smurfs 2 has been greenlit. Now that's not shocking because it made money, but I'm surprised that it's coming out next fucking year.
Don't you mean blue lit?
Well, that's 2
Jesus
years.
Christ. Wow.
You see what he did there?
2013, right?
Oh yeah, I guess it is. But
that's not next year.
That's 2 years.
That's 2 years.
I know. Well, that's
good. Do the math,
for those
everybody.
listeners or podcast hosts that can't count, that's 2 years.
I hate you. Hey, guess what? We can't hear Brian anymore. Boop. All right, well, I guess it's 2 years, so I guess it's plenty of time. We're getting a Smurfs 2. That's the only thing that matters. I don't look forward to that at all. I just don't. I'll end up seeing it because Brian said that it's actually not too bad, so I'll check it out because I do love the Smurfs. I just don't really want to see the movie.
Katy Perry does the voice of Smurfette, and there's a little joke in the movie where she says she has the line where she says, "I kissed a Smurf and I liked it." So it was,
You're saying it's worth $6 to $7 for that?
No.
All right. Well, the other piece of news, which I am accurate about, is that Bruce Willis is signing up for G.I. Joe 2, or he's in negotiations for G.I. Joe 2 as the original Joe that started it all. So he finally got something for his hair, or his hairless head to do.
I think I could see him over Dennis Quaid.
Oh, yeah?
Well, they're not playing the same role, are they?
No, it's a completely different role.
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought so. I thought Quaid played Hawk.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Quaid's not going to be in this movie. I don't think he's in it at all. He's not returning. Neither is Marlon Wayans, thank God.
I don't know why we
God,
needed
he
another one of
ruined
these.
He did. His stupid-ass jokes.
I thought for the most part it was a good movie, and I can understand having somebody as kind of comic relief, but why on earth they picked him? Maybe they were like, well, we only got about $12 left in the budget. Who can we get? Just roll your dice and pick one of the Wayans guys. None of them are working.
Yeah, I liked the G.I. Joe. It was stupid, over the top, bombastic. Didn't make a lot of sense, but I like Steven Sommers movies. Fuck, I liked Van Helsing, so my taste goes right out the door. I enjoyed it. I'm sorry if I was too loud with that. I'm more sorry that the woman who played Scarlet isn't going to be in the next movie. I think they're actually having Lady Jane, and I don't remember who's playing her, but the girl who played Scarlet she's just stunningly attractive.
Okay.
I was looking forward to seeing more of her and whatever tight outfits they could wedge her into.
Now I kind of
I'm creeped out.
a little bit. I'm looking out my window for you.
What, me talking about hot chicks and tight outfits? Yeah, be creeped out.
Well,
It was the heavy panting.
It was, yeah.
Kind of weirded me out.
I guess more freaked out would probably be the word. Not really creeped out. Like, I like girls too, just not quite so loudly and in public. But Dirty Dancing remake is in the works. I know we're going to talk about remakes in a little bit, but what do you guys? I think this is one of those movies you just don't touch.
I am exactly
especially
the
when
same
Patrick
boat.
Swayze died like last year.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, well,
Don't
I guess
touch
the
it.
grave's a little warm. We're good.
Too soon.
Justin, you like Glee? You got thoughts?
I actually don't give much of a shit. I never liked the first movie. My mother adored it, and I was forced to suffer through that fucking soundtrack every time she drove me somewhere, and perhaps that is where my animosity springs from, and not from, anything else. But I didn't care for the film. I really don't care much about they're remaking it. It is kind of too soon, and I've heard that Patrick Swayze's family is a bit put out by this, or some people associated with him are a bit put out. If they'd gone to his family and kind of gotten their blessing, maybe it could go better. But, it's just not a movie I care about, so.
That's fair. I don't care about it either, but I know a lot of women are probably up in arms. And they're not having the time of their life about it.
I was about to make that joke. You son of a bitch.
You guys were fighting over that joke?
Wow.
Anyway.
Or She's Like the Wind. I was trying to figure out how to work that in, and I just couldn't.
Nobody put Swayze in a corner.
Well, they're also remaking Footloose?
That's
Yes.
done. That's done.
No,
That's
I know,
coming out.
But like,
That looks bad.
have you seen? It does, too. Have you
It
seen
does.
how they changed the story? They got away from like the religion aspect of it and did it like all in a car accident or whatever.
They
Like,
did it poorly.
seriously.
Kevin Bacon.
Throw some fucking balls. You can't throw in religion in there. Like it's a big problem now.
It's a really sad day when you can't make an 80s Kevin Bacon movie look bad. I'm just saying. When you can't get that fucking good.
I didn't have any interest in that one either until, I think it was my brother told me it was directed by the guy who did Hustle and Flow and Black Snake Moan. Hustle and Flow is
A great
in
movie.
my top 10 films.
That's a great movie.
That was.
He should have did a
Love
little bit
that.
more hustling because this movie looks like it sucks.
Yeah, it
ass.
looks like it sucks. Yeah. I mean, granted, I've just seen a trailer, but
It looks like they've just reshot the movie, changed up very little, but just put a whole new cast in it. And like Willard, played by Chris Penn in the first one.
We saw that in the theater, didn't we?
yep.
And he's like so much bigger than Ren and everything. And then you look at the preview where and it's like the exact same scene from the original movie, and they're like the same size. They're about $1.20 each, and it's like, hey, look out! It looks absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I agree with that. It looks pretty bad.
But maybe we could discuss this in another segment.
Absolutely. We could probably bring that up. I don't know when that will come up, but at some point. I really like this. I don't know how excited you guys are, but I'm a big Riddick fan.
I am a huge Riddick fan.
Riddick is a go. Riddick is going to happen. They are making the third Riddick. It's going to be a little more scaled back. It's going to be about Riddick and monsters again, kind of like Pitch Black was originally.
You guys are just like having a circle jerk this week.
I'm telling you.
Bruce Campbell and Riddick in the same week is a happy fucking news week, man.
I am really disappointed, though, that they are not going to do what they'd originally planned with the third movie, which was to go into the Underverse and explore that whole aspect of, the Chronicles of Riddick's story when he became the Lord Marshal of the Necromongers.
Yeah, the Necromongers.
Third film supposed to be all about the Underverse and what all that meant, and now they, have really scaled it back, and I understand that it will follow the events of Chronicles of Riddick. Carl Urban will be in it, just like he was in the second one, and apparently the story is going to be that Riddick doesn't want to be the Lord Marshal, and so in order to get out of it, he has Carl Urban assume the role and then just drop him off at Furia, which is where he's from, and somehow he gets dropped off at a different planet, and lots of critters attack and mercs. I will watch it, and I'm sure I will enjoy it, but I am disappointed that it's not really following the original plan and that they're just kind of going back to what was more, critically accepted film of Pitch Black, which was good.
I'll tell you what I was disappointed in, and that was the damn article that was about it. Because it just told you the whole freaking movie. And then, towards the end of it, it says, spoiler alert.
I
You just ruined it. You told me 3/4 of this damn movie, and now you want to give me a spoiler alert. I'm sorry. It was just a...
Well,
I
can't read, so I can read a few words, and Riddick as a go is all I saw. And I saw a picture of Vin Diesel working out, and I figured, whoa, that's going to be a good movie. Well, I want to see it. I hope they can do it justice. I'm probably the opposite of Justin, even though I love the character like he does. I prefer the scaled back nature of Pitch Black. I thought I really like the simplistic nature. Yep. I like parts of the Riddick. I mean, I like the Riddick movie. I do because I like the character a lot. But the parts where it's so busy, when they're on the ship and everything else, that was just too much for me. I love the section where he escapes from prison is probably one of my favorite action scenes ever. Honestly, it's in my top 20 action scenes of all time. I just love how once he gets to the prison until he gets out, I just think that's brilliant. If they could have made that a whole movie, it would have been fucking awesome.
I'll never forget, I got into an argument with somebody on Rotten Tomatoes about Chronicles of Riddick, where they were trying to say that the reason the movie sucked is because the science of that planet and its going from hot to cold, and the fact that when they swung across to this gap to avoid that onrush of heat, that doesn't scientifically work. It's like, really, that's where you're going to go ahead and plant your battle flag? You're going to try and make that make sense? Come on.
In a movie called Riddick about an assassin that takes over.
It's a space opera. It is not 2001. It is not a film that is supposed to have any semblance of science whatsoever.
But on the plus side, before we end this segment, they are shooting for an R rating. They're not going for PG-13. So it's going back to the roots. But I thought they made a pretty gritty PG-13 in the last one.
Kind of make me want to go back and watch Pitch Black again. I haven't seen that in
I'll be honest with you. That is a movie, real quick story. I did not want to see it when it came out. A bunch of friends dragged me to it, and I fucking hated everything about that movie. Hated the movie. Didn't like it at all. Love the character of Riddick. It's one of the very few movies where I gave it a second shot and loved it. I don't know why. It could have been my mood, or it could have been that I paid money for that one and it was much better on video. But I really liked the movie the second time I saw it, and especially upon repeated viewings, I really grew to love it. The first time I saw it, I literally came home and said, fuck that movie. That's one of my things.
That blows my mind because you're the one that sold me on that movie.
I'm telling you.
I never knew that.
The first time I saw it, I hated it. Hated everything about it. Well, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about our weekly topic. Then we're gonna get into some DVD stuff, and we're gonna have a flashback video. So make sure you stick around. We are gonna listen to a trailer now, and what we normally do at this point is play one of the trailers we talked about. But I'm gonna do a little an old trailer flashback for my mom since she's out of commission. So I'll be back in a second. Don't awe me.
Here we have a quiet little motel, when in fact it has now become known as the scene of the crime.
You have a vacancy?
Oh, we have 12 vacancies.
You know, this is the first place that looks like it's hiding from the world.
I think that we're all in our private traps. Clamped in them. And none of us can ever get out.
Is anyone at home?
Oh, that must be my mother.
Is anything wrong?
Am I acting as if there's something wrong?
She's not missing so much as she's run away.
Put me down. Mother! Oh, God! Mother!
What are you running away from?
She looked like a wrong one to you?
It's not as if she were a maniac. She just goes a little mad sometimes.
Why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
And that was for my mom. So I hope you're doing better, Mom. Right now, we're going to go into Brian's little segment. This is something we're going to do every week if it works. If it sucks, we'll probably never do it again. But basically, we're a little too testosterone here in the Hollywood Outsider. You know, we exactly, we grunt a lot. Brian just growled like a bear.
And somebody snorted. What the hell was that?
I think that was
Me, I'm about that.
So we're trying to appeal to the sensitive demographic. That's really what we want to do. We want to help the
Fabulous.
I didn't say that demographic. I said sensitive. So Brian's gonna do a little segment called "Does it make me a Sally for liking this?" Brian, take it away.
Yeah, like you say, it's we are a bit testosterone oriented here. We do tend to steer towards the what do you call it? The sci-fi stuff, the action movies, the lots of explosions, fast cars, hot women, that kind of stuff. But we do realize that there are probably 2 women, 3 maybe, that listen to this. So in all fairness, we do love movies, and I think Aaron, you said something earlier about the fact that we will give shots for a movie that we might not normally see, such as a chick flick or what have you.
Oh, I'll give shots for a chick flick. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, a good movie is a good movie, and it doesn't, and that's all I care about. So there is a movie that I thought kind of, what's a chick flick that I like? So I actually own this movie.
What?
And so I went through my vault of.
And I want a preference before you get to what it is. We don't actually know what his movie is, so that's why we're gonna tell him if we think he's a Sally for it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So so I got to rummaging through some of my stuff there, and then I stumbled across a movie that I really haven't watched in a while, and because of this, I may end up watching it pretty soon. But it's called Love Affair, and it's actually a remake of a remake of a remake. Most people, most women have probably know this story as it's this one was made in 1994. It stars Warren Beatty and Annette Bening, and they're both engaged to different people. They meet on a cruise.
Not the same person?
Right. So they're not engaged with each other. They're engaged to others. So they meet on a cruise, hit it off, agree to meet 6 months later at the Empire State Building in New York City. So, and that's kind of how that goes. But it's, like I said, Warren Beatty, Annette Bening. It's Katharine Hepburn. It's her last movie. And there's a few other people like Kate Capshaw, Pierce Brosnan, and it's, like I say, it's just it's well shot. There's some of the visuals that it takes place in Tahiti, and it's absolutely stunning. They really capture the scenery and everything in that movie. And like I say, it's a good love story, but it's just a good story all around. And I don't want to ruin the ending, but if you know the story, then you know kind of what happens with some of the, I guess, what would be the drama in the movie. So,
and that's a remake of Affair to Remember, and also Sleepless in Seattle kind of borrowed from it, right?
Right.
From Affair to Remember. Yeah.
Right, and Affair to Remember is the one with was it
old people?
Cary Grant, I believe, was in that movie, and so, but it was like I say, it's a chick flick. It's when feel like I need a little shot of estrogen, then it's one that I'll throw in the old DVD player. But
do you do that? Do you watch it alone, or do you watch it with your wife?
I haven't watched it with probably alone, because
Wow.
it's one of those that you don't say, hey, let's what do you say we pop in Love Affair, huh? But yeah,
Actually, you would if you're trying to get laid. I'm just saying.
well,
It doesn't make you a Sally. I think it makes you very sensitive, and I'm very happy to see this side of you. It makes me very proud.
I can't say whether or not it caused you to like, because I haven't seen it, but I'll check it out.
Justin?
If you saw my movie collection, you would know that I have no room to judge anybody when it comes to these sorts of movies. So, no, I would not call you a Sally.
Well, good. Thanks for bringing that up, Brian. We'll all
Thanks for
run out
making
and
me
check
feel
it out.
better.
Yeah, we should all watch it
I may outdo
together.
you when we get to our flashbacks.
We should all hug now,
I kind of want to hug. I'm
Maybe.
feeling really sensitive.
or maybe circle jerk.
Please don't tell me I'm ugly or that I'm fat.
Oh,
Damn it.
any more?
How do I look in these jeans? All right, moving on. That was a remake, which is a nice little segue to our weekly topic. Every week, we bring up a topic and we talk about it for a little bit, kind of get everybody's thoughts. This week is remakes. Because you know what? You know what the world needs? More of the same shit every single year.
We're running out of ideas.
Here's the question. The big question is Hollywood bankrupt? Are they fucking bankrupt? Because all I ever see is the same movie every year. Just redone. They're like this coming week, there's going to be 2 of them in the same weekend. Fright Night and Conan are both remakes.
Yep.
So what do you guys think? Anybody take the lead?
I don't think they're out of ideas. I think we are getting some fresh ideas. Last year, Inception, I thought was pretty original. The new one that I'm interested in was In Time. Is that what it was called?
The Justin Timberlake movie.
I think that concept is kind of fresh.
Yeah, that's original. I'll give you that. Concept is original.
I don't think we're out of ideas. I just think that things that are comfortable with people that people recognize are going to be bigger sellers. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, the movie business is a business, and you know people are going to be more apt to go see something that captures them somehow with recognizability.
Nostalgia. Something like that.
Nostalgia is really big. I mean, it's something that's going to make money. Look at Smurfs. Nobody thought that was going to do anything. And I've never watched the Smurfs as a kid, but I mean, a lot of those people that probably went and saw that either went with their kids or were big children of the 80s. So,
but that's an adaptation. We're talking strictly remakes, like remaking something that's already old, classic.
Well, I think curiosity plays a big part of it too, because they've seen the old one and they want to see what the reboot looks like and compare it to what they're already familiar with. So
I don't really consider Conan a remake because they're not remaking the first film. You know, the movie is based on a series of novels, and so even the first film isn't, 100% based on the book. So what they're doing is they're just kind of rebooting the franchise and taking the story in a different direction. Whereas the first movie had James Earl Jones, and he was the snake god kind of villain of the piece. This one, they're not going that direction at all. It's a completely different villain, different life story for Conan. So I don't technically call that for me, a remake needs to be not necessarily Gus Van Sant shot for shot remake like he did with Psycho, but it needs to hew pretty closely to what had been done before so far as story is concerned. Now, Fright Night, yeah, that's a remake because it's most of the same characters, most of the same situations. They're just changing some of it up to give it that 21st century feel.
I think another
Conan, I don't really consider it.
Sorry to cut you off, man.
That's okay.
I think another big point with remakes is not necessarily just the nostalgia part of it, but actually introducing a good concept to a new generation. You gotta remember, the movies aren't just made for movie buffs like us that have been watching them for the past 15, 20 years. There's a whole new generation out there that has never seen, these originals of these movies. So these are new movies to them. So there is a demographic for remakes because some of them don't even know the remakes, and that's okay. There is a market,
and they
for
don't
it.
want to see the old ones because
it's outdated. Then
right.
It doesn't hold up as well. I mean, it does to people like us, but to kids that are in their teens or early 20s, they're not watchable. I mean, like try to go back and watch like an old Twilight Zone episode now. I mean, that's 20 minutes of boring for 30 seconds of like awesome.
I would disagree with you on that particular.
Man,
I'm kind of with you, Scott.
I'm talking about the original Twilight Zone, like Like,
I love the original Twilight Zone.
oh, I like the concept of them, but you try to sit down and watch them now?
I can watch any of them.
Really?
You watch the Burgess Meredith episode where he goes into the bank vault to read, and he comes out.
That's an exception to the rule.
It still works today.
Yeah.
That ending is so tragic.
Pig noses. Pig noses.
Oh, that's my favorite. Eye of the Beholder is my favorite Twilight Zone episode. No, but and again, you and me and Brian are probably exceptions to the rule. But you try to get a kid today to watch Twilight Zone, it's not going to happen. They're going to fall asleep in 10 minutes. Well,
Scott, you have no interest in seeing Fright Night, the original. You'll probably watch it, but you'll watch it more out of curiosity and because you're going to see this new one.
Sure.
So I think there's every generation has got a huge percentage that just do not want to watch the movies of the previous generation.
And you got to remember that a lot of the people that are watching movies aren't huge movie buffs like you guys and we are.
I understand that.
You know what I mean?
I'm firmly with. Here's my theory on remakes. My personal theory. I think if it's a classic, and I mean a classic, like it stood the test of time, still a huge favorite, like Back to the Future, don't touch it. Star Wars, don't touch it. There's certain things you just don't touch. Now, if it's a shitty ass movie, that didn't really make any money, but you like the concept, it's an original concept or something like that. Like The Running Man, I thought it was kind of a shitty movie, but it's a great concept. I think that's something that I could see them remaking. I could see them taking it, tweaking some ideas, making a new movie, making the main actor not speak retarded. There's a lot of things they could do, and they could make it a really cool movie. That I'm okay with. It's when you take something that's a classic and then you fuck it up. And you have to put the new spin on it because they know that A, it's a classic, so a lot of people will go see it opening weekend. B, there's a nostalgia value, so you get a lot of old people to go eventually. I mean, there's certain things, and they're just doing it strictly on business. And I understand the business aspect of it, but I'm talking strictly as a movie goer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking. I'm not a CEO of Universal, so I don't give a fuck. I'm telling you from a personal moviegoer perspective, it taints, not taint, but taints my vision of that film.
Taint can be plural.
What do you guys think? Anybody?
No, I totally agree with you. You can redo a concept, but don't mess up with the landmark movies, and just some things just shouldn't be touched.
Yeah, and one of the questions you asked to us is to pick a movie that, for us we would consider to be off limits. And my knee-jerk reaction was to say I would never, ever want to see somebody redo Casablanca. Right. But then I sat back and I thought, all right, if they had to do it, who could they put in it that I would not just immediately dismiss it? And I thought, what if somebody like George Clooney played Rick? And what if they got somebody like Cate Blanchett to play Ilsa? And then I started thinking, God damn, I would actually want to see that. Get Steve Soderbergh to direct. I would want to see that because I thought he did an amazing job with Solaris. For me, that's a remake that I actually prefer the remake to the original film. I thought Clooney was amazing. The use of the special effects and the music and just the whole tone of that movie worked like gangbusters. So I can't necessarily say that any movie is immediately off the table because it depends on who they put in the roles and behind the camera. Clooney and Blanchett playing Rick and Elsa, I could probably go with that. Star Wars, not so much. For me, that's not only a classic, but it is so close to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I could never want to see somebody redo those films.
I don't think.
What about you? What's your movie that's off limits?
Well, you stole mine already.
I didn't mean to.
I know
you had one.
I gave him the finger as soon as he said it, but I was going to say Back to the Future. Was my pick because
I think that should mean that I was right.
You were. I just feel like I feel slighted. That was my pick and you stole it from me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I mean, Back to the Future to me is perfect. I mean, that movie is set in the 80s. You try to redo that now, it's going to feel like a TV sitcom instead of or not a TV sitcom, but like a made-for-TV series instead of a movie. Because, the time machine meant of a DeLorean and everything, was tongue-in-cheek and perfect enough for the 80s because of when it was made. Mm-hmm. You try to make that now with like a flying Porsche or something like that, it's just gonna be.
Who the fuck owns a Porsche?
I don't know. Who owns a DeLorean?
Well, then other people. Now, who owns a Porsche? The guy you want to fucking punch because he's an arrogant prick. That's the only person that owns a Porsche. Come on, really?
That's
Malibu.
That was my pick. Don't because I mean, and Back to the Future is like Justin said, so close to my heart. I just wouldn't want anybody to touch with it because, in my mind, you try to remake something like that, and then it to some degree ruins the original for me a little bit because now I have a bad taste of the intellectual property in my mouth because of this reboot that you did.
Or if they're going to do the Goonies again, just don't.
Yeah.
Some movies are so much a part of their age.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be hard to put them in especially if you're going to try and set it in a modern setting.
Yeah, you can't set it in a modern setting because you throw in cell phones and modern technology and stuff in there. It just part of the appeal of like the Goonies was the fact that it was all like handwritten,
right.
maps and I don't know.
Data whips out like a actual cell phone plan.
Slick shoes.
What about you, Brian? What was your movie that you said no one can touch?
Well, it took me a little while to kind of find one, and it's not a movie that I necessarily hold dear to my heart. I do really like this movie, but because of Pulp Fiction, you just cannot redo Pulp Fiction.
I agree with that.
And it's more of a technical aspect than it is I love this movie type of thing. The movie just would not work. I don't care who's in it. I don't care who makes it. It just would not work. I don't care if it's 10 years from now or 50 years from now. It just would not work.
Well, I mean, just by the title alone, I mean, that's kind of what the appeal of that movie is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Well, but it's such a Tarantino movie. He is all over that. Every frame of that has got Tarantino. No other director could ever bring to that film what he brought to it.
I would agree with that 150%. It's just, that's a hard one. That should just never touch that one. I should never touch it. Mine's Raiders of the Lost Ark. I just think that's one of the very few adventure movies that's almost 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like they nailed every scene in that movie.
Yep.
And like I've said before, I prefer Temple of Doom just for a fun factor. But Raiders is a much better movie. It's like the perfect adventure movie
It
to
really
me.
is.
And perfect casting. Even though Tom Selleck was originally the guy in there. Thank God that never happened.
Oh.
He was supposed to be Indy?
He was supposed to be Indiana Jones. And
Yep.
he couldn't do it because they wouldn't let him have his Magnum PI contract.
Yep.
Think how pissed he was when Harrison Ford was like a billionaire.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, still trying to coast out that Magnum PI money.
Now he's guest starring on Friends in the 90s.
Exactly.
You don't want to see Jeremy Renner play
Yeah, Jeremy
Indy?
Renner playing Indiana Jones. He's taking over every other franchise. Why not? I didn't want to see Shia LaBeouf doing it either. Well, here's a thought. Now, do you guys would you prefer if they're going to remake something, a shot-for-shot thing of
Like
a good
Psycho?
movie like Psycho, which was clusterfuck? How do you fuck up a movie that's shot-for-shot? I don't understand. But a shot-for-shot
You put
remake.
Vince Vaughn in it.
Yeah, who masturbates right before? Yeah, whatever. A shot-for-shot type remake, or do you prefer a complete reimagining where you just take the basic core of the movie and actually re-envision it completely different?
Depends on the movie.
re-envision?
Re-envision?
I've already got the first movie. Don't do another shot for shot. I got that film.
How different do you think a remake should be from the core, from the original?
Well, you have to stay. I mean, you have to stay with at least some semblance of the story. So, I mean, you look at some of the Shakespeare movies that have been remade 3 or 4 times, like Hamlet or Romeo and Juliet. You can take that same story and you can put it in different time periods, different locations, and it technically it still works. The story still translates whatever era you're in. So something like that, you can really play with it. But I hate to agree, but I would have to say totally redo it. Don't do it shot for shot.
I'm going to agree with you guys, but I'm going to also counter my own argument with an example of something that I would no, because I'm agree about rebooting, but I said my first reaction was it depends on the movie.
Mm-hmm.
To give you an example of one that I would like to see done shot for shot, just because of technology, and I think Justin might agree with me on this one. Granted, we just had a sequel to this movie, but I would like to see a reboot of the original Tron movie, which was cheesy as hell.
All right, yeah.
Right? But I would like to see that with today's technology that they did in the new Tron movie.
I didn't like the new Tron movie, so I just let it die.
I didn't hate it. I liked it, but I liked what they did with the technology, and I would like to see the original story of the original Tron maybe tweaked a little bit to be a little bit more serious and less Disney, and have it, a little bit more mature story and the modern day graphics, I would be all over that.
I could see that.
Sometimes you can remake it well.
Mm-hmm.
True Grit, I thought, was a fantastic remake of a property that everybody said was untouchable because John Wayne, iconic. He won the Oscar, best performance he ever gave. Which, come on, he didn't really perform. He just played John Wayne.
Yeah.
But Jeff Bridges came along and everybody said there's no way he's going to top it. And I dare to say I think he topped it.
It was good.
But the movie was what came out great. Now, for every True Grit, there's like 1,000 that suck. But, I see where if you have the right filmmakers, it can work. My concern is that, they're doing way too much. Like, every week you're hearing about more remakes that are popping up.
But they're
well,
selling.
Here's my concern. Right now the cool thing is to redo 80s classics. Footloose, Red Dawn, whatever else is out there. It can't be, the 90s remakes can't be too far behind, and then the 2000 remakes are right behind that. So at some point we're going to run out of stuff to remake.
That's true if you think about it.
I mean, in the next 10 years we'll see how bankrupt Hollywood is, intellectually.
Well, I can almost bet you they're going to remake Harry Potter and probably Transformers at some point.
They're already remaking Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
the turnaround is getting a lot shorter. Yeah. Spider-Man's 10 years old. So
yeah, Spider-Man was the first remake that actually felt disgust. Every other remake, I'm like, oh, all right. Remakes have been a tradition for Hollywood almost since the first films, so it's not as though it's anything new, but it does seem like the cycle, or they're doing more and more and more. And now with the Spider-Man, it's like, Jesus Christ, Tobey Maguire's outfit ain't even cold yet. And you're already getting a new actor in a new suit, and you're rebooting it. You almost feel like, as a viewer, why should I bother investing myself in anything if you're just going to come along and completely redo it? And what's the point?
Well, I come back to the same thing.
I've got one that it just hit me.
Yeah.
But what about Jaws?
Fuck you. No, you don't touch Jaws. Not the original. You can make all the sequels you want, all the shitty ass piranha movies, but you don't remake Jaws. That's
I agree
iconic.
with you.
I don't think you could. I don't think there's any way you can make that movie, make it now and make it good.
I agree with you, but that's one of those that, I don't think you couldn't do.
No.
I wish they would redo Spawn. Don't redo Spider-Man. Redo Spawn. That's a character that they completely fucked up in taking it from comic book to movie. They neutered the hell out of it, turned it into a joke. I wish they would redo that one. Still bring back Michael J. White to play Spawn, though, because that motherfucker's awesome.
Well, he's old now.
Have you seen, though, Black Dynamite?
Yeah,
God,
he's
I
ripped.
love Black
He's
Dynamite.
pretty ripped.
He is awesome.
If you have not seen Black Dynamite, get off your ass and go pick up that movie.
And
right
the
now.
cartoon from Adult Swim, have you seen the pilot?
I got it off from you from Facebook. That is fan-fucking-tastic.
It's awesome.
All right, let's not get on a Black Dynamite kick.
All right, sorry.
That's okay. So basically we're saying remakes, you're okay with them. They're going to happen. You're fine with it. You don't think we're getting burned out a little bit?
I'm not super happy about it, but I'm not saying it's killing the industry yet. I think there's enough fresh ideas out there, but
outside of Inception, because I know that's going to be your reference point. What's the most original idea you've seen
on the spot
this year? Just this year.
This year, I have to think about it because
anybody can chime in. If you got an original movie you've seen this year, like real original.
I'm racking my brain and I'm not finding.
I mean, you can count comedies. I mean,
if it's an original idea,
Bridesmaids. I haven't seen it.
I liked, and I know a lot of people hated it, but I'm once again, Justin likes something everybody hates. I loved Sucker Punch, and the visual style, the way they handled the material. To me, it felt fresh. It felt original. It felt inspired. A lot of people hated it though.
I watched that 2 days ago as per your recommendation on Blu-ray.
It's beautiful.
He liked it.
So. Did you like it?
I did. I didn't love it. I thought it looked gorgeous. I thought it was a fun. It was a movie that I liked. The action sequences. Was kind of bored with the in between moments.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot of fun. I smiled a lot. I love the music. The music was
it's almost like a 2-hour movie music video.
Yeah,
for me, in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And closing on remakes. Parting thoughts? Anyone? Bueller?
I've accepted them. They're going to happen. Just please let the bodies cool a bit before you redo them, for fuck's sake.
Yep. Agreed.
I'm waiting until they remake something that comes out 1 to 3 years afterwards.
Well, they did with Hulk, didn't they?
Well, but that was like a new story with the same character. I mean, like remake the same.
Right. And what they kind of did with that was like, hey, my bad. We realized we screwed this up.
Mulligan.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also all in service of their ultimate goal of the Avengers.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those are our thoughts on remakes. And every week we're going to come back with a new topic. Next week, we don't know what it's going to be yet. It's a mystery. It's magical, though. It'll happen. We're going to move on to DVD and Blu-ray. First off, we're going to talk about what's coming out. On August 16th, here are the new releases, so get ready, guys. Hoodwinked 2, Hood vs. Evil. Yay! Jane, do you say it Irie?
Jane Eyre.
Eyre? Thank
Jane
you.
Did you
Eyre.
read the book in high school? Come on.
I did not read the book in high school. You know what I was doing?
Having
Banging
sex?
chicks. John Carpenter's The Ward. Anything that's prefaced with John Carpenter's after 2000 sucks.
Okay.
Priest, 2011 version. Something Borrowed, which is a nice little horrible chick flick to suffer with your wife with.
My wife loves Kate. What's her name? So I gotta
Kate
see
Hudson,
that.
but
Kate.
the movie, horrible reviews. Everybody, I know a few people that have seen it.
I
It's
guarantee
horrible.
I'll be watching it probably.
And The Conspirator. Also coming out, which is my pick of the week, you guys can do yours in a second, is Dexter Season 5, which I love Dexter. I'm looking forward to that. That's my pick of the week. Scott, anything?
I can't.
Looks
I
good.
can't say. I don't have a whole lot of desire to see any of these, so I mean, I'm just gonna have to go with Something Borrowed, just because that's the only one I know I'm gonna see, because my wife's gonna make me watch it. So
My pick of the week
Does
is
that
the
make-
one that I have to watch.
does that make me a Sally?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Justin,
Welcome to the club.
For me, it's probably gonna be Priest.
That
It's
does
based
look
on a
interesting.
Japanese manga. I'm. What's the name of that lead actor in that? Paul Bellamy.
Bettany. Paul Bettany.
Bettany. After seeing that horrible abortion of a film, Legion, my
Same director, too.
I am so hesitant to watch Priest
Right,
now.
yeah, because it looks like Legion Part 2.
It does look like
It
Legion Part
does,
2.
but fuck it. It has vampires. It has martial arts. It's futuristic. They should just call it Justin's film or Made for Justin, because it's everything I love. And there have been movies in the past that have done that, like fucking Ultraviolet, where the trailer was so fucking kick-ass awesome. And Equilibrium is a film that I really enjoyed. So
That's
when I
a
saw
kick-ass movie.
Ultraviolet coming out, I could not have been more pumped. I drug my wife to see it.
That's
To
terrible.
this day, she fucking bitches about how bad that movie was. It's 5 minutes in, I looked at her like, oh God, this is a train wreck. And it was horrible, but it has everything I love. Same thing with The Priest. It's got everything I want in a film, and I'll get it. I'm a sucker for punishment.
Brian, what do you want? Any of those?
Well, yeah, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I really don't know much about The Ward, but John Carpenter has made a lot of bad movies, but, you know, he made Halloween.
You're giving the guy a lot of credit for something from 30 fucking years ago. I'm just saying. I
Prince
love
of
John
Darkness,
Carpenter, too.
dude.
Escape from New York.
Love.
They live with Roddy Piper. Come on. Hello.
I
Chew
said-
bubblegum and
I-
kick some ass.
Exactly. I believe I specifically said anything with his name since 2000. So if you could name any movie
Did you
since
say, I missed the 2000 part.
Did I not say that? I did say that.
You did
And
say that.
someone just kicked their mic.
Sorry.
That's okay. I preface with since the year 2000.
Okay.
So
All right.
anything.
Year 2000.
You know, I don't pay attention to you very often, so I mean, I missed that part. So,
That's obviously.
I'll go with The Ward just out of curiosity.
Well, we all had a different one. That's awesome.
Fair enough. But Dexter season 5 is the best one. So we're we're gonna move on to this is the flashback section. Well, basically what we're gonna do is each person has a movie that's either obscure, or maybe you aren't familiar with. Maybe it wasn't a hit when it came out. Maybe it's from the 80s if your name's Justin. And each person's gonna go and they've got less than 90 seconds, and we're gonna keep it to 90 seconds. Goddammit, to do your trailer. So basically, it's your pitch. You say what the movie's about, why you love it, however you want to sell it. You get 90 seconds. We're not going to interrupt you. We're not going to talk about it until they're done. Fair enough?
Fair
Everybody
enough.
understands their role? Well, of
Deal.
course, if we do, it's our show. We're going to go with Scott first because that's whose name I have written first. So,
All right.
Scott Clark, what's your movie?
My movie's from 2006. It's called Cashback. This is probably one of the more obscure movies. And story of this movie is a guy that dumps his girlfriend, and then she gives him a hard time about it and finds a boyfriend really quick, and he gets insomnia, can't sleep, and gets a part-time job, third shift at a grocery store, bored out of his mind, doesn't know what to do, and this is going to make me sound like a sexual deviant, but that's kind of why I like this movie. But he winds up getting this weird ability to stop time, that just get time, and he's an artist. And what he does is he goes around the store and basically disrobes everybody, all the women, and then draws them in his sketch pad, and then puts their clothes back on, and then that's how he has his art. Sounds like an effed up situation, and it sounds like that's the only reason I like this movie is because of all the nudity, which it was a perk, but there actually was a lot of artistic shots, and no, it's genuinely, there was some really cool cinematography outside of the nudity in this movie that I found pretty cool for just a weird, obscure movie. And I'm a sucker for movies with voiceovers, where you kind of feel sorry for the characters. So that's my pick for the week. I kind of had a lot of fun with it, and I actually watched it twice, and it's on Instant Stream too on Netflix. So
wow, dude,
yeah,
it sounds like my dream.
And I'm gonna tell you, I don't like this movie just because of the boobs. Although there are a lot of boobs in this movie, I really enjoyed this movie. Because there's actually some really funny characters in the movie too. Now this is a little bit of a cheap movie. It's kind of cheaply made, but what makes this movie really clever to me on an artistic standpoint is that the guy that made this movie originally made this a short film. It was only about 20 minutes long, and he got such high praise for it or whatever that he made it into a full feature movie. And then instead of remaking the whole thing, actually shot the rest of the scenes and then stitched the old scenes and the new scenes all together and made a whole full feature length movie, which I thought was really clever. So he had the actual original cast and everything and stitched together the old shots, new shots, and made a new movie, which is kind of clever to me. So
anybody we ever heard of in it?
Wow.
No, this is completely obscure.
That's
no.
good.
I remember the previews for it, and I tried to make a point to see it. Never got around to it, but definitely want to check that out. I remember when you said the grocery store, the supermarket. That kind of
I have not seen it. It's on the Netflix Instant though.
It was back 6 months ago, and I can't imagine it wouldn't be, but it's obscure enough that nobody's probably want to see it a whole lot.
Well, I'm glad you prepared to make sure of that. It sounds interesting, sounds disgusting, and it sounds like something you'd like. Next one is Justin. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian, you got something else?
No. I was just going to say I didn't realize he was going around stripping people that work there or whatever. But
no, it's like actually like patrons in the store. Which
okay.
It's
kind
of
even better.
It's perverted as hell.
I would do that if I could stop time. I'm not going to lie to you.
I think we all would.
I totally would. I'm not going to lie. I would do it. I want to do it now. I kind of want to run to Kmart. Well, not Kmart. Let's go somewhere else.
No, and not Walmart either. Have you seen that website?
Yes. All right, Justin, you got 90 seconds.
All right. Technically, this is made in 1990, so it is not an 80s movie, though it very well could have been.
Real close.
I Am a Giant Sally. I love romantic comedies, and back in the day, my go-to girl was always Meg Ryan. When Harry Met Sally is probably my favorite romantic comedy of all time. Love it to death. But she had a movie that came out in 1990 with a young Tom Hanks called Joe versus the Volcano. Not You've Got Mail, Joe versus the Volcano. And it's basically a fairy tale. If you go into it watching it, knowing it's a fairy tale, you'll enjoy it a lot more because the imagery does get a bit dreamy. The way it's shot, the way the story is told, the way the characters act, all have a fairy tale feeling to it. It's about a man, Tom Hanks, has a jury job, jury life. He goes to the doctor one day and the doctor says, you've got 6 months to live because you have a brain cloud. And what are you going to do with your life? The next day, a rich old man shows up and says, I've heard you've got a brain cloud and you're going to die. I happen to have a volcano that needs jumping into because the natives that live on it need it, and they've got stuff on that island I need. So he hires Tom Hanks, says, Tom, here's you a bunch of credit cards. Go have a great time. Just show up at the island in 6 months. He goes out, shops, has a great old time. Meg Ryan actually plays 3 different characters in the movie. They're all sisters. And eventually he and one of the Meg Ryan characters are on a boat. They sail into the Pacific to get to this island. They kind of fall in love while they're going. It's an amazingly romantic film. It is very light, very fun. When I first saw it, I fell in love with it. I still love it to this day. It's not on instant streaming, unfortunately, but it is available on DVD. I hope they make a Blu-ray of it. It's not an especially beautiful film, but it is a movie that I really, really loved back when Meg Ryan was America's sweetheart and not the overly cosmetic surgery person she's become today. And it was a huge Tom Hanks. This is back when he was, a lesser known guy. But it's such a fun movie.
That is actually a really good movie. I mean,
I've not seen it.
I definitely didn't catch on with people when it came out.
No, it didn't, and I think it's because it is such a fairy tale of a movie, and people went into it probably expecting, a more standard traditional type of film.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it starts out so bland and dreary, gray, a lot of grays and everything. It's real, industrial with the work, the work scene and everything, and then of course, it ends up in the, islands and stuff, and it's all bright and colorful. And like I say, it is. I don't think a lot of people understood it the first time they saw it, so it just kind of floated away.
Yeah, and there's a lot of repeated patterns that act as symbols throughout the movie, and I didn't really even catch those the first time I watched it. It's one of those movies that the more you watch it, the more you get out of it, and the more little things you see. I wouldn't say I like it better than When Harry Met Sally, but I put it up there. It's a fun, sweet film.
Well, that's good. Good choice. Brian Williams, you got 90 seconds. Do it.
All right. Let's see here. Let's say you're
Brian Williams, you have 80 seconds. Do it.
All right. The movie I picked it's called Right at Your Door, and it's about a guy. His wife goes into town, runs some errands, that kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden, L.A. is hit with a smart bomb or a dirty bomb, and so there's this toxic cloud spreading and stuff. So he basically runs into town to look for her, can't find her, picks up some supplies, and basically has to struggle with the decision to, should he seal himself in this house or wait for his wife? And he basically decides to seal himself in, and then it kind of, the story kind of goes from there. So it's really, it's kind of scary in the sense that it's one of those things you could envision happening, and like being attacked by aliens or what have you. So, but it's some really good drama. It's really intense. He deals with, people that are wanting in the house, and he's trying. He says, "Look, I've got this place sealed up. You can't come in," and but it's a really good one. It's one that, I've, talking with people, a lot of people just kind of tilt their head like a dog and just kind of look at me a little funny when I mention it. And so I don't think a lot of people have seen this one, but it's called Right at Your Door. It is on Netflix. It's on Amazon. If you've got Amazon Prime, it's on that, where you can watch it on there. And of course DVD and Blu-ray and stuff. So check it out.
That's an interesting choice. It's actually a pretty good movie.
I've never seen it, but I did know it existed.
And this is news to me. Amazon Prime, you can watch movies for free?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Instant video. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm sold. I'm going to watch that one.
Do it.
Good choice, Brian. And actually, the one I'm going to recommend is actually also on Amazon Instant. Mine is The Contender. President Jackson Evans is played by Jeff Bridges. He's in need of a new VP. Party favorite Jack Hathaway, which is played by CSI's William Peterson, he's a career politician, kind of going through a resurgence of popularity. Instead of going for the sure thing, what Jeff Bridges' character does is he decides to focus on his legacy and picks Lane Hansen, which is played by Joan Allen. Shelley Runyon is played by Gary Oldman. He's in charge of the approval committee that can get Lane's confirmation passed. What Shelley, he obviously, you can tell from watching the movie that he has a disdain for Lane on a multitude of issues, not the least of which is her being a woman. So he embarks on kind of like a witch hunt. He's seeking to politically destroy her, get his favorite, Hathaway, approved and appointed instead. So he's trying to destroy Jeff Bridges' legacy and get the guy he wants set up. Once it's discovered that Lane might have participated in a three-way in college, Shelley Runyon, which is played by, did I say Gary Oldman? Yeah, I did. Does everything in his power to disgrace Lane and withdrawing, and the film kind of brews with politics as the politics of today as it unfolds. So what it is, it's a very clever film with excellent performances. I think Gary Oldman is almost unrecognizable. Joan Allen she gives an amazing performance of poise and dignity, I would say. Jeff Bridges is probably my favorite president of all time. The wonderful performances by the leads there's as well as Sam Elliott, Christian Slater, and a bunch of other ones. And why I like this movie so much is I think any young person, women especially, should view this movie because it does address the themes about what is it okay to expect of a woman versus a man, especially in authoritative positions, and the double standard that applies there. And those sexist views are very much still alive, and the film addresses them directly. That if it was a guy that had a sexual encounter, if this is the case, when they were in college, would it be such a big deal as it is for a woman? Is it okay to ask those questions from somebody that something that happened 20 years ago and base someone's entire political future on that? And it's not an after-school special kind of movie by any means. It's just a very entertaining, riveting film that really just has a strong theme behind it. That's my pitch. Anybody seen that?
I haven't.
Better than Bill Pullman's president from Independence Day?
Way better.
Did he give a rousing speech?
Hold the microphone backwards.
Ass? I don't think so.
He does give a rousing speech at the end.
Fuck.
And it's awesome. It's awesome.
Does he hold his little microphone backwards when he gets up to talk?
He does not. No. He does not. But I recommend, and that's not on Blu-ray, but it is on DVD. You might have to do a Netflix rental on that one because it might be a hard one to find. It's not on Netflix Instant. It is on Amazon Instant. Great movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's just, especially if you've got a young daughter or young woman, I really think you should watch it. It's a really strong movie.
Yeah, it is. Real good movie.
I'm really liking this flashback thing we're doing because it's just giving me a list of movies that I can go. It's giving me a to-do list of movies. That's kind of my favorite part of this whole podcast. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, that's cool. I just hope somebody actually stuck around long enough to hear it.
I checked out about 20 minutes ago.
And you're on the motherfucker.
And that's and that's it with our DVD. So we're going to go on to, we actually got a viewer email. So we're going to read parts of it. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit of it. And some of it's actually kind of funny. So obviously they understood the irreverent nature of the podcast. So we appreciate that. It's from Sean Kabashima. I hope that is his real name. My primary concern is time management, and I just want to preface that with, this is a really long fucking email, Dick. So if time management's such a concern, maybe you should write it a little smaller. Thinking to make sure you guys hit your marks. That's exactly what it says. The discussion over movies to go see that each person was supposed to pitch for 90 seconds went over half an hour. This is referring to the last podcast, I assume. Or the summer one. I can't remember what. No, it's got to be the last one. I like the interaction and conversation. You guys did a pretty good job of not stepping over each other, which is true, and can be difficult when half the group is remote. You obviously know and love film and are mainstream enough to be interesting to a large audience while still hitting stuff that you normally don't see on don't normally see on Rotten Tomatoes or a more traditional movie review website. I like the pilot and that you had a theme, summer movies or some such, so he was really listening. And this provided a framework for your discussion. I'd recommend that you continue this. Too many people? Brian was quiet because with 5 people competing, it's hard to get everyone integrated, which we actually agree with, and that's why we're stripping it to 4 every week. It's only going to be 4 people every week, unless we're doing a big deal. The cast went on for 2.5 hours, and that's 1.5 hours. That's 1 to 1.5 hours too long for me, which isn't enough for 5 people. I don't really know what that means, but here's the thing: you can fast forward. I'm just letting you know. You can push that little button. But we appreciate you listening. Did I?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, you could tell. I think you need a hook this is where it gets funny, so I'll give him credit. That's why I'm being sarcastic, because obviously he has a sense of humor. I think you need a hook or something to really differentiate your podcast from the rest of them. Do you know any celebrities? Anyone got a sex tape? I think that the thinly veiled agenda of same-sex marriage, pride marches, and rainbow flags is not unique enough to carry the show. Also, since you and Scotty are obviously both bottoms, it would never work between the two of you. Brian, I see more as a top. So maybe you could both be his bottom bitches. Give it some thought. Thank you, Sean Kabashi. We are taking that under advisement. I think you'll see that the show is a little bit shorter. We're going to continue to work on that. I appreciate the letter, especially the serious portions mixed with the lighthearted jabs at Scotty and I's
And for the
homosexuality.
record, I'm definitely a pitcher.
You are definitely a catcher, dude. I've known you forever. You would catch a lot. You probably have caught a lot. You've caught some fastballs.
He didn't compliment me, so.
Well, he was, I think, addressing. Yeah, he didn't actually. You should probably. You want to say something? Here's your moment. You can say
whatever. Fuck it, whatever. I mean, I bring the thunder every time, but whatever. I'm not bitter.
That's awesome.
Fuck him. Whatever. I got my own podcast. Whatever.
Which feel free to plug when we close out. Scott Clark, we are going to bid adieu. So, Justin McCumber, thank you very much for coming. Brian Williams, thanks for being here. Anybody want to say anything in closing? Closing thoughts? Anything?
Thanks for having me.
Just go check out the movies.
Yeah.
Buy the popcorn and all that stuff.
Cashback has boobs.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me on. I know I won't be on next week, but it's always fun because on the podcast I do, which is the Dead Robots Society, applicable only to those who like to write. We actually celebrated our 4th anniversary this past weekend, so we've been doing it a while over there, but I don't get to talk movies over there much because it's more about writing and books. And that's why I love doing this show, because movies are as much a passion for me as books are, and I get to indulge it with a bunch of guys who are incredibly fun to talk to about it. So I'm glad to be on every time I'm on.
I appreciate that.
I just wanted to say
second.
I wanted to say one quick thing too for closing thoughts. In response to Sean's email, Sean Kabashamimi. What is that, German?
Yeah, that sounds German.
I think it's a fruit.
No, we really do appreciate feedback emails. I wish we got more of those on mine actually, because I kind of want to know what everybody thinks and what things we could do better. So, I know Aaron really wants to make this work and get more listeners. So let us know what you guys want to hear. Those kind of things are really appreciated. We do take them to heart. So,
well, I don't take when he calls me a bottom to heart because I'm a top.
You should, because if there's nothing that's been true or ever been written.
Says the guy who was called a top, but let me tell you, I'm not buying it.
Aaron strikes me as a top.
Thank you. Yeah, he knows what's up.
Biting top of the pillow.
So he's. So you're agreeing that I would be a bottom? Is that what you're saying there, Justin?
I didn't say that. You can infer if that's what you.
Oh, I'm inferring the shit out of it.
I'm just saying, if we had a camera on the two of you right now, I have a feeling that Aaron would be the one pitching. That's all I'm saying.
See?
God damn it! Why am I always the fucking catcher?
I don't know. Well, with that, with everyone pretty much being clear on where Scott stands or sits or kneels, we're going to close it out. Remember, you can always reach us facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider. You can email us at HollywoodOutsider@thecomcast.net, and you can tweet us at Hollywood or H_outsider. So it's everywhere you want to be. That's us.
We just got sued.
Global, baby.
Thanks everybody. So go check out the movies. Remember, support your local theater. Go play some popcorn, buy some shit, and have a good time.
Later.
What the fuck?
Decision for me letting you go. No time to visit, I just wanna go home. You're unable to understand that I'm doing the best I can, and all I know is all I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home.
You know who named Wham? The guy in front of George Michael.
Wow. Hey, I'm not allowed to talk about video games. Never mind.
Go ahead. You can
The
now.
show hadn't started yet.
You can. Go ahead. Please, dear God. We haven't heard enough about him. Just go ahead.
I'm still trying to figure out why you have me on all the time. I watch
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Trust me, he won't be on much longer. I mean, he's got school coming. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as soon as I can get human resources to fire his ass, he's out of here.
All right, so we're going to go in there, and you see the time allotments. I'm kind of just trying to stick to it as much as I can, just because it's good to have at least a guide, something to shoot for. I'm not saying that it can't go over, and I'm sure not going to cut anybody off right in the middle of the sentence.
Right in the middle of sex?
Right in the middle of sex.
Please don't cut me off right in the middle of sex.
Because I will bukkake you in your face.
Understand that I'm doing the best